and welcome to another First Class Cricket Academy podcast. Today we will be reviewing what has been a pretty awful series for England and a very good series for India. They're managing to take the series 3-1. Today, as usual, I'm joined alongside Raj, head of First Class Cricket, and also Darren, who coaches at First Class Cricket. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, very good. How are you? All right?
Yeah, not bad. I think after watching that performance, it was a bit of a bit of a blur, but I just hope they'll come back to be better. But anyway,
I'm delighted, Oli.
I bet you are, Raj. So Darren, we'll come to you first. I think there can't be really any complaints about the pitch, can it? I think they've come to the conclusion that the pitch. Yeah, maybe it wasn't so good last test, but this test match there's no complaints.
My issue with pitches, or non-issue with the pitches, I think you can rub that out in one foul swoop by saying England won 3 tosses out of 4 this series. So England have had the best of the conditions in 3 games. So regardless of what the pitch situation, and this was a very flat pitch, everybody said that, England lost this game by getting rolled for 200 on a pitch where they should have got 350, 400. On that first day, because it was pretty flat, wasn't doing too much. But as I said, we've won the toss 3 out of 4 times, no excuses. India, far, far, far better side. And I think if England are relying on Broad and Anderson bowling this India or winning a series against India on green tops, the Duke's ball this summer, I think they could be mistaken because India have some very, very decent seam bowlers. And our batting lineup is exceptionally fragile at the moment, so I wouldn't put money on that either. So.
Yeah. Raj, what do you think about? Obviously, there's no really excuse about the pitch. I think you could maybe say the last pitch wasn't as good as obviously this one. Maybe you have your different views on the last pitch, but there's no excuse now, really, is there?
I'll ask you a question on this about the pitch, right? If you are coming to my house for dinner, what are you expecting? Omelette, chips, fish and chips, or curry? Tell me.
Curry.
Right. If I go to dinner at yours, I'm expecting roast or fish and chips or something like that, isn't it?
Yep.
So I know what to expect. So when you're going to India, you know what sort of tracks you're going to get. If you can't adjust, tough luck. That's why it's called Test cricket. Because it's a test of skill, character, courage, everything. This is not a conditioned game for one-trick ponies. Okay. So if you can play, fine. If you can't play, tough luck. Only time I'll say a wicket is not good enough is when batting on it is dangerous on the physical side. So I don't think any of these wickets were that you couldn't come and defend on the front foot and thinking that it's going to take your head off. It didn't happen. So what's the problem?
Do you not think the first two pitches after the first one could have been prepared a bit better? You know, a bit more put into them.
I told you I like spicy curry, so I've made what I like, what I am used to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either you eat that to survive or you go empty stomach. Tough.
Yeah. Darren, would you say that was a lack of preparation from England then? Do you reckon they were expecting not wickets to turn as much as they did, or?
I think what this isn't a go at you, Ollie, but what people have got to understand, and you've got to understand, is this series, the pitches on this series are no different to the pitches every time a foreign side goes to India. This is no different. I mean, this isn't really a surprise because I know we all thought India would win the series quite easily. And the surprise probably was that England won the first test. Whereas when England were there in 2016, they lost 4-0. But if you go back to 2012, when England won against what I feel was a far, far stronger India side than the one we've played this series, we had a very, very strong batting lineup. And if you can't score, ignoring all the fuss about Dom Bess and the bowling attacks and things like that, if you only, after the first test, England passed 200 once, and that was when they got 205 in the first innings of this one. And you can't win Test cricket anywhere if you're getting bowled out for mid-hundreds. And that's where the problem is. If you look at the 2012 side, where you had Cook, I think Compton was opening there, Bell, Trott, Peterson, Matt Pryor, all quality players who adapted their game, which is a big word Raj used, adapted their game to play in those conditions and were successful. Whereas we've only got, Root has a good technique against spin, and I think he just petered out in the end because he's been single-handedly holding this batting lineup up all winter, and that includes Sri Lanka
Lawrence
as well.
batted well.
Yeah. Lawrence batted well today, and the keeper, Folks, he's got quite a decent defensive technique. But apart from that, everybody looked completely lost because they didn't know what to do when the ball was spinning or going on straight. But that's what you've got to deal with. So.
But the problem is most of the batsmen, Folks, Burns, Sibley, they are all batting with a stump literally because of their grip. Their bat face is so closed that they're literally batting with a stump. Now, on a turning wicket, that will just magnify. And this is not for something for Ram Prakash, not Ram Prakash, Thorpe or Trott to get it right. This should have been got right when they were 13, 14. Hey, how can you play on a turning wicket where the ball is going away from you, coming in, back into you, got two sides to cover with a stump like bat face? It's impossible.
So Raj, you said that's the coach's fault then for that.
If the bat face of three of your leading top order batsmen is not right, this obviously someone has to take the blame, na? How can you bat with a bat face like that on a turning wicket where it is going to be just magnified?
Yeah. Coming on to the batting now, coming on to how they went about it. So England again won the toss and obviously elected to bat. Darren, they obviously just doing it because they're in India. Obviously the pitch in day 5, day 4, if they actually get there, will get worse. Do you think England went about it badly?
Well, yes, obviously they did, because the numbers will reflect that. I do think we do have a tendency, our cricket teams or our national team falls into this. We've got to go out and be proactive, or we've got to go out and be positive, or we've got to go out and defend, rather than just play what's bowled at you. Just, you've got 5 days if the game goes a distance, as you said. But each individual batsman has to have their own individual plan. And sometimes I look at them and think maybe they're being told, right, we've got to be proactive, we've got to sweep, we've got to do whatever. But none of them seem to have an individual plan. The worrying thing is none of them, I know it's difficult in a test series, which is quite condensed like this one, but not many of them, apart from possibly Lawrence, but he missed a test, I think. And he's have actually improved from the first test. Most of them have actually got a lot worse. And also Axar Patel never played in the first test, and the bowling wasn't quite as good. But
that would have been 4-0 if Axar Patel had played. India missed him big time because he gave them the control, because the 2 other spinners went at 4.5, literally. And with Axar, you can't just blindly sweep as your go-to shot when you can't defend, because he bowls at such a pace. And he's a tall lad, so the ball is going to bounce as well. Okay. I've got certain questions before you go into this, right? Batting, bowling, leave batting, bowling. Okay. The first thing is England needed to win this test match. Okay. The only way they could have squared this series was they had to win this test match. Now, test matches in India or anywhere in the world is not won by batsmen. Test matches are won by bowlers, and England went into the game with 1 bowler short and with 1 spinner on whom the captain doesn't have any confidence. Okay, so that's number. Chris Wokes went home without playing a test match. The guy Ollie Stone bowled so well in that game, and you've gone into a test match with 7 batsmen. So firstly, you don't know what you want from that match. Number 1. Number 2, the English think tank, I would say, would be Root, Silverwood, Broad, Anderson, together, I think they will be on close to 1.5 million pounds. Okay. So 1.5 million pounds could not figure out that whether there is moisture in the wicket or not.
Mm.
An average club player in Mumbai, Calcutta, or Chennai gets paid about 1,500 pounds for the season. You could have gone to any of them, took them along, they would have had a look at the wicket and told you what combination to play on that.
But Raj, I would
So,
say, when you see that when, like you say, they made that mistake in the third Test match, but then so they made that mistake, then they panicked and immediately packed the fourth Test with batsmen because they knew if we have enough, they went around thinking if we have enough batting, we'll be fine. But obviously
yeah,
that
but then
wasn't.
how are you going to win a test match without bowlers?
Mm,
When Ben Stokes had bowled only 15 overs in the last three test matches.
mm. But I think that's exactly where they went wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, so 1.5 million pounds can't make a right decision.
Mm,
What would happen if that was done in a business environment?
yeah.
My second question is, was Virdi taken just for experience or being a net bowler? Second question. If the captain doesn't have any confidence on Dombes, right, then why not play Virdi?
Mm.
And if you say he's a net bowler, Washington Sundar and Natarajan were net bowlers in Australia for India. Someone got injured, they played, they won the game for India. So I think all this nonsense about growth mindset that they preach, when it actually comes to delivering, they are the biggest fixed mindsets on the planet.
Mm.
Okay, so they need to be flexible first of all before they go out and preach all
Mm.
that spreadsheet and PowerPoint crap. Okay.
I think, Raj, would you say that Don Bess was not sort of thrown under the bus a bit because he played the first Test? I think he got a fourth in the first innings. Okay, fine. He didn't probably
So
bowl
why
as
did you
well.
drop him then?
Yeah, exactly. That's
Why
what I'm
did
saying. So why he's done okay. Okay, maybe he has not bowled the line's length he wants to, but that doesn't. He got 4 wickets in the end. What I don't
yeah,
understand is why have they just dropped him? Said go and work on your line and length, and they bring him back again. It just doesn't make much sense.
and you have told him you have got no confidence because you are telling Moin Ali that please stay back
Hmm.
when it has already been agreed that Moin is going to go home.
Hmm.
So they just don't know what they want. You're going to play the best team in the world on test rankings at home, and the whole show is being run for the next impending T20.
Hmm.
Play your best side. And I can still understand bowlers being rested. I can still understand bowlers' workload and all that rested. Batsmen rested.
Hmm.
Rohit
Yeah.
Sharma is not resting. Virat is not resting. Rahane is not resting. They're playing all formats.
So Darren, that brings us on to the topic of someone that team that won that first game are not weren't actually playing. You know, like they sent Joss Butler home after one Test series. You see what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And someone you've already mentioned, Chris Wokes, went to Sri Lanka, has gone to India, hasn't bowled a ball in anger. And especially when you look at this test, I
And he
think
can
that
bat
if you
as
look
well.
at, yeah,
He can
who
bat as well.
else? Yeah, yeah. And then you, especially this test, but all the other three tests before this, there have been moments when England were in the game very much. And then you look at this one where India were 140 off for 6, one more wicket, and you're into the tail then. Obviously, Washington Sundar and Rishabh Pant are classy players, as they showed. But if you'd have got through one of those, which you needed the extra bowler for because Stokes had bowled himself into the ground and so had Anderson, and Best just couldn't let it go properly. So you were stuck there. England was stuck there. And that's the point where England could have got away with it despite batting like idiots on the first day. But maybe Wokes would have done that job and would, I'm sure, have batted a lot better than some of our top 6 as well. So, yeah.
They could have easily got Lawrence up the order, okay, dropped Bairstow and played Stokes.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
Raj, the problem
understand.
is, Raj, not wait, you get the impression that no one wants to bat up the order. Everyone wants to bat down the order because of county cricket. Now, do you think they should be batting down the order because they bat down not as far up in county cricket, or do you think they should be batting high up in international cricket?
No, this is if they are selected as a batsman, they bat where the team needs them to bat. As simple as that. I know one of these T20 conditioned players who doesn't even want to bat up the order in IPL. I know that very well. He wants to go below 5. Even in the IPL, he doesn't bat because he's scared of the fast bowling. That's why.
Right, I think we
Goes
should come
away
on
He
to
goes
it.
away to like people say he's making room. No. He's not making room. He's chickening out.
And also, I'd say, I mean, I don't know. Raj will correct me. I'm pretty sure Washington Sundar doesn't bat 8 for his club side, does he? Someone as good as him?
Washington Sundar played his last first-class game in the year 2017. He made his debut for Tamil Nadu, batted as an opener and scored 159 and got dropped.
Yeah.
Okay, look at his batting. He looks a so well-organized player.
Yeah.
I think we should come on to now India's performance. I think England we can sort of leave aside and go, yeah, better team won in the end. Darren, Axar Patel, he didn't play the first Test match, but like Raj said, if we'd played that first Test match, that would have been all over.
Yeah, he changed the series because it's not only what he personally did, it's the fact that nobody can score off him, which brings Ashwin more into the game than he was in the first Test. Because Ashwin was trying to, as the other spinners were going up fours, fives and over, Ashwin not only has to try and he sort of can't really attack as he wants to because he's got to keep runs down as well. So he did change the series, yes, absolutely. And it's a bit worrying that if Ravi Jadeja had been fit, he wouldn't even have been playing. So yeah, it could have been even worse.
Yeah, Raj, coming on to that next point. Raj, coming on to that next point. If Jadeja's fit for when England, no, when not England, they're definitely not playing in it. When India play New Zealand in the World Test Championship, I think in June, who do they play?
Depending on the wicket. Depending on the wicket and depending on the economics, how it works. Because, see, ECB would love to provide 5 green tops to India, right? But there are 2 things they have to consider. Number 1, their finances and the Indian opening attack. Now, if they give us green tops, okay, and if the Indian bowling attack delivers, right, then the match is going to be over because both bowling attacks will deliver and the match is going to be over in 3 days. Now, does the ECB have the financial backing to do that, or they want all games to go to 5 days? That is one criteria. So this is going to be bigger than cricket. Okay. And with India's fast bowling battery or the reserve bench that is there, any team now will think twice before making a green top. Only thing is India's top order needs to fire. If India's top order fires, everything will be good for India. If India's top order doesn't fire, then things will be difficult.
I think what proved to be quite vital was that how we were saying that Darren was saying that they can't just rely on Joe Root. But Virat Kohli had no case series, but he was pretty quiet. But I think it proved that India were backed up by their middle order. So it's not always relying on Virat Kohli in a sense.
I think that's the thing. If you'd have said to Joe Root before the series, Virat Kohli's going to score 1/2 century this series, England would have fancied really doing well. But it just shows that India have had so much backup. And a lot of their top order didn't have good series either. Pujara hasn't had a great series. Gill, the opener's had a very, very ordinary series. And they've still beaten us easily.
But the thing is, with the guys who scored for India, Rohit and Pant mainly, and then Washington in this game, everyone scored at a quick rate. Okay, so that always had India ahead of the game, because Rohit Sharma, if he bats, he's going to bat on his own tempo. He's not going to bat on the bowler's tempo. Rishabh Pant, you've seen what he can do. Okay,
Certainly
so
have.
he's someone who can destroy bowlers' careers. And I think Jack Leach showed a lot of character to come back after the pumping he got.
Mm.
Okay, so I think Leach deserves a lot of credit for that. But then you had no control when Dombes was bowling, because on wickets like this, you have to dry it up. Because if you don't dry it up, you cannot have people around the bat. And if you don't have people around the bat, then it's pointless, because people are just going to get off strike.
Mm.
Now, I don't understand with Dom Besses. Dom Besses bowling full tosses. It can be solved in literally 5 minutes. It's all about his, when he bowls good balls, that is quality balls.
Mm.
That ball is doing everything that a spinner needs to do. But the ball he's bowling full tosses is because his bowling arm is going beyond the perpendicular. And that is when he rushes his run up. So his arm slot has just got to drop slightly to about 1 o'clock, and he is bowling good balls. But because he's panicking, his run up speed is increasing, and his arm slot is going higher and higher. And there he has got no finger time on the ball. And that's what is happening. So,
Mm.
what are these guys who are sitting in front of laptops doing?
Mm.
That is my question. I don't have any problems with anyone. All these guys who sit there as if they are going to predict tomorrow, what are they doing?
Um, Coming back to the batting, India's batting, which was obviously very good. They had a strong defence, which was highlighted throughout the series. Actually, Andrew Strauss.
India's batting wasn't very good.
No,
India's
no,
batting didn't deliver.
but I think at
India's
least they had a better defence than England. Certainly, I think you could see
that
some
is,
players had a
yeah.
much stronger defence than England. Darren, Andrew Strauss had said on Channel 4 that England had a lack of defence. What do you think about that?
Well, I would first say that their India's defence may not have been that much better than England's, because England's defence was tested a lot more than India's was. Bowling wise to start with, they may have done, yeah, but and Raj is right. India's batting wasn't fantastic. It was streets ahead of ours, but it wasn't fantastic by any means, and some of them would have been disappointed. But yes, I saw that as well. Andrew Strauss is quite right. Everything when you play in Asian conditions is based around you need a strong defence. You need to have your outshot, if you like, to move the fielders away. How am I going to get them a single? Whereas England's outshot, if you like, just seems to be let's slog sweep, try and get a four.
Yeah, but then Andrew Strauss, what he's saying is 100% right. And Virat Kohli went on air saying that in Test cricket, you cannot survive without a defense. And it made headlines in India the day before. But Andrew Strauss speaking, and what is actually happening in England, because we know it, we are in the circuit, we know what's happening down the range. It's like the CEO of a company saying something and the cleaners doing exactly the opposite. Because down the ranks, defense is a bad word in England. You go to clubs, you go to age group pathways and whatever, defense is a bad word. It's a banned word. Leaving a ball is bad.
Yeah.
Because the guy who has never played cricket has got this badge and he's coaching, it is a bad word. So Andrew Strauss can say the right things, but the information is not going to go down, because there, where it actually matters, it is all about reverse sweep, clear your leg, power hitting, can't defend. So they literally want someone to run at more, what's his name? 100 meters when this guy is not ready to walk. That's what they all want at the lower level. Right? Bat speed, power hitting. What's that going to do?
Boundary options.
Boundary options. 10-year-olds being told boundary options. Putting cones and trying to work around. This guy can't even defend to save his life. Leave aside boundary options. But Andrew Strauss is saying 100% the right thing, but that information is not filtering down.
Yeah.
Because the guys who are in charge at the lower ends, they are not listening to Strauss. Because Strauss doesn't pay their salaries. They are only interested in the guys who pay their salaries, and the guys who pay their salaries is only interested in T20 cricket because that will keep 16 jobs alive.
Darren, would you say, right, coming on to the future of what's going to be happening, obviously England have got quite some big series coming up. We've got India again in England. We also got the Ashes in November, or maybe put back a little bit further. Do you think it's a worrying sign for the England team, or would you say that's just a blip because they're playing in India?
It's not a blip because Sri Lanka apart, and I think we won that series because, with all due respect to Sri Lanka, they're quite a poor side. But this happens every time we go abroad, and it happens with quite a lot of teams. I mean, you can exempt India from that because they've just won a good series in Australia. But every time we go abroad, we generally lose a series, and there's generally an inquest, which pretty much gets forgotten come the summer when we win on home conditions again. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see at least 5 of that top 6 playing in the first and the test against India this summer. Whereas in my opinion, it should be no more than 2 or 3 of them. But I don't think. And I also remember last time we lost the Ashes in Australia, there was a big inquest. We can't have seam bowlers that run up and let it go 80 miles an hour. We need pace, and that's why Jofra Archer's around now, Woods around now. But there's always something. We always say, next time we'll do this, next time we'll do that. And it generally doesn't happen because we win at home easily against whoever we come up against. And we kind of think, well, that's the problem solved again.
Yeah. Raj?
See, in England, only 2 times shit hits the fan. Okay? Number 1, shit hits the fan big time if England lose a home Ashes series. The next time shit hits the fan is when England lose an away Ashes series. But it doesn't hit that much. The other countries, they don't care about. They have got excuses lined up. We didn't play our full side. We had rotation policy. Oh, it is hard to bat on wickets like that. There was heat, there was dust, there was tummy bug. All that excuses will be made up. So nothing happens, right? The other thing you got to understand is at current situation in world cricket, other than England, Australia, New Zealand, and India, the other teams are literally on ventilators in Test cricket. Okay, they are okay surviving in one day and shorter format, but in the longer format, they're literally on ventilators. See the state in every country. So if this carries on, Test cricket is going to be literally between 4 countries, and Pakistan might come in all of a sudden, and South Africa will keep producing players for England and New Zealand because they've got so much politics going on at home, and this is going to be a franchise league all over again. That's what is going to happen.
Any last words? Yeah,
other countries need a bit of financial backing to keep the players in the game.
Yeah.
That's
Down any last words, Darren, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, it's just annoying's the wrong word. I think that 3 weeks ago we did a podcast and we all thought England would get smashed, and they haven't surprised us at all. So, and that's pretty much all I've got to say.
Well, thank you, Raj and Darren, for what's been probably a good podcast for Raj, maybe not so for Darren and I. So thank you for listening to this podcast. I think the only thing England fans will be hoping for is that there is a green seamer for when New Zealand play India. Well, that's it from us. We'll see you next week.